Welcome to the 28,000 member celebration of the Line 6 Helix Group. Co-host Chad Boston, Chris Eckl. Our very special guest, Mr. Eric Klein, Line 6 Chief Product Design Architect. And the celebration shall commence.
Not able to noodle yet.
Where's mine?
Oh,
Okay,
nice. Is that a white?
So, we are live, and we've got a bunch of ne'er-do-wells behind the scene, and let's see, we got the Helix Air. So we got, let's just, without further ado, let me find a place to go here, and click. There we are. We're live. We've got Mr. Eric Klein. We've got JB Eckl. We've got the incredible number 2, Chris Saraga.
Hey guys.
So this is fantastic. We've hit 28,000 members in the Helix Group, and we owe it all to Mr. Eric Klein.
Oh no. No, I'm a very, very little part of a very big microcosm. So
Well, I think that
and Frank is about 10 or 11 levels above me. So
I think that the community that's been built with 28,000 members is it's incredible that we can be at 28,000 members and have so little disputes or arguments or problems or just awful stuff. And people, when it was at 4,000 or 5,000, we had to wrangling cats. It was awful. But since then, with all of our good moderators, and the members have all trained each other to be kind and nice. And I think the group is just an offshoot of the thought processes that are going on at Line 6, the kindnesses and what Line 6 has done. And
the dark and the passive aggressiveness, mostly from me.
Hey, we like your passive aggressive posts on
the slow down.
Change notes.
So
it's partially passive. See, if that's
yeah, more passive than aggressive. Yeah.
We've got Terry in here, and then we had Frank. Hey,
Frank.
Hey, gents.
Hey, buddy.
Frank.
How are you doing, Frank? And
Jason's here.
let's see.
Jason Price.
Yeah. Hey, we got Jason in here.
I got one of my band members, Lynette's here, and right over here, even though she didn't want to be in the picture at all.
Hi.
That's Jen, a new moderator and keyboardist for Star 13. That's our band.
We love Jen. So, hey, Lynette. So, this is really kind of phenomenal. But hold on. Talk amongst yourself real quick.
Well, I was just thinking that we also owe this to just the members have been just amazing the whole time, from 100 to 28,000. I've had better connections with these group of guys and ladies and crazy animals than I've ever had with anybody else. And that includes everybody in this feed, includes everybody who's watching. I just have had such a wonderful time with you guys. I'm so happy Chad and I made this group. It's just been an unbelievable experience, I think, for everybody, but definitely for me.
So Frank contacted me this morning, and most of you don't know what he offered, but we'll have a giveaway here. I didn't want this to be about the giveaway, so I didn't want to promote the giveaway or anything. I just want the ones who are willing to celebrate 28,000 to get the benefit. So we will end up. I'm going to see. Let's see. We got new comments. So we've got a giveaway. We'll give away at the end or near the end. But
are we going to give away what the giveaway is?
Well, I could, but if we tease it long enough, then people.
If you tell people, they might actually stick and it'll give them even better incentive to stick around to the end.
I guess.
Give it away, give it away.
All right. Okay.
Notice. Sorry.
We're gonna give away Chris. No, just.
Hey, if you want to hack guitarist and a kind of terrible 80s keyboardist, I'm your man.
I'd buy that for $1.
I heard that you're also handy, though, around the house in general. Like, you've got a lot of eclectic skills.
I do have a lot of eclectic skills. That is true.
Highly resourceful and stuff. So that's good.
Let's see. I need to look at something real quick. Oh, yeah, we got 15 people on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask these 15 people who are on there, 16 people, go ahead and share it. When we get to 25 people in there, then we'll make an announcement about what we'll give away. There we go. So, Eric.
Yes, sir.
2.9. Fantastic. But there was
2.91 is
that's what I was going to say. 2.991 came out very quick. And tell us the main things that are different in 2.91. What was fixed?
Nothing. Well, what was fixed?
Yeah, what was fixed?
So long story short, the way that our beta testers test things and the way that we test things, we're very methodical and very clean and very calculated. And what we hadn't done is we hadn't moved expression pedals and moved knobs and spammed buttons and hit foot switches while things were updating, or as they're rebooting. And turns out when you do that, crap happens. So basically we just have to be total. We just need to smack the crap out of it constantly.
I did not roll my face on the Helix when I was updating.
Yeah. So we moved some things around underneath the hood that not only it's sort of like an extension of what we had done with 2.8 in Helix Core. When we started moving things around, we were able. One of the side effects was the much faster booting with Power Trio and with HX Stomp. So and that wasn't necessarily a feature, which is like, oh wow, we moved these things around and I bet you it's going to be faster. Sure enough, holy crap! For some people, it was almost twice as fast as far as booting. But because of how we moved things around, if you happen to be moving things physically on the unit as it was doing that boot process, all sorts of terrible things happened. So for the 48 hours or whatever between 2.9 and 2.1, we just said, just don't touch it for 30 seconds after you turn it on. It'll be fine. And then magically that worked, but that's a huge pain and it's totally stupid. So we went in and fixed that, and we found a couple other things, and we've found other things since then that we plan on fixing very soon as well. But these were the big bugs that needed to be fixed right away. So
when the guys are doing the fixing of the code on stuff like that, what's the atmosphere during those 48 hours? Do you provide any special snacks or beverages for those guys, or?
I mean, we're all remote, so it's not like it's like, hey, we're going to deliver pizzas. Let's go over to the QA lab.
So they're doing all this in their boxer shorts, and there's really nothing you can do for them at that.
No, our test lead, his name is James, and he's really incredible. He's great. He's on top of the beta team. He's on top of our external beta team. He's on top of all the QA guys who are working on this sort of thing. And so he does a lot of cat wrangling. And he's also he has posted a little bit here and there, but he's one of the smart ones. He's like, nope, no, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But he's very active and jumping around and finding things. And if we see somebody talking about something online, we'll screenshot it and send it to James. And James is like, stop sending me bugs. I know about this already. So, and then we have this software that we use to not only prioritize features, but we use it to log bugs. So we can look at bugs and we can look at features and we can move things up and down the list, and we can say, hey, this is going to be in 2 point whatever, this is going to be in 3 point whatever, this bug needs to be fixed by this. We can prioritize it, put big hairy exclamation points like this is a P1 bug is what we call it, or it's absolutely mission critical. and then we get together every day. Team Helix gets together for 15 minutes, and we go through what needs to be fixed, and we all go through and figure out, hey, this is what we're working on. This is going to be fixed by this date. Hey, I know what this is. Oh, really? I think that might help me with this bug. So everybody's really communicative, and nothing's really different from what we do if we're in the building, because most of us are remote anyway. So it's really collaborative, really positive. Most of it's okay. Are you sure this isn't going to affect another piece of the code? And because once we get a release candidate firmware that we're really happy with, the proper thing to do is to let it soak for a week and not touch anything and not fix anything and make sure that everything is fine. And 2.90 was fine. We just didn't do the pushing of the knobs and the switches while it was booting and while it was updating. So,
well, I'm wondering who does that anyway, but I guess we know anybody who had a problem was touching it.
Well, that's guitarists, right? We touch things.
Yeah, I mean, we ran the numbers, and it was about 0.5% of people who actually ran into issues like that. So it was, if you have no problems, you're not going to run to the internet and complain about having problems. So
but there was the tap tempo thing got fixed too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was part of it. That was actually one of the weird. There were actually probably 15 or 16 bugs that all got solved simply by that first bug fix. So were likely things that nobody encountered that we fixed.
Hey,
and there are always things that nobody ever encounters except for us that we fix. So,
hey, Eric, there's a few people online that are now a little apprehensive about that. So what's the best advice you could give a Helix user who's a little bit apprehensive about updating?
Just read the release notes, follow them step by step, and you shouldn't have any problem. If you're one of the rare instances where you do run into problems, USB, especially on PCs, can always be very finicky. So if something weird happens, try a different USB cable, try a different USB port. Don't use the USB port on the front of towers. Those are considered hubs. That's not to say you shouldn't try it, because if you run out of USB ports, that's one to try too. But if you follow the instructions and you keep a lot of just the normal PC, Mac troubleshooting guidelines in the back of your head, you should have no problem.
Pay special attention to anything that's in bold.
Yes. Or red, or italicized.
If it really doesn't work out, you just call Chad, but you got to make sure to send him something that his wife likes. So he has to start telling us like what the things are that allow him to solve our problems at inappropriate moments.
I mean, if anybody's really concerned, they're more than welcome to open up a ticket, and our CS guys can walk them through as well over the phone. So
excellent.
Well, and that's the thing is we've got the group, and the group is fantastic, and I don't know how many people put their number out there on Facebook, but I do. My number, my cell number, gets into comments and posts.
Mine's up there too. You're always welcome to call me.
And the thing is
I won't.
You guys are nuts.
Guess what? The thing is nobody's abused it. Not one person has abused it in 4 years.
Yep.
Now, I'm not inviting anybody to abuse it, but because I got a block. I do have a block. But I try.
Hey, God, do you have Prince Albert in a can?
Exactly. So we've got. Let's see. Jason Saditis says the boxer shorts were the problem with 2.9.
Sounds speculatory, but he's definitely an educated guesser.
Well, and another thing that happened along with the 28,000 members is just before that, Eric, you put out PodGo, right? It actually hit the shelves.
And because PodGo was technically developed by Team Helix, we were having to balance 2.9 and the PodGo 1.10. So now that we fixed most of these bugs, we're splitting the group. Some of them are going to continue fixing bugs and starting, and we have team members that are actively working on 3.0 features, and we have other team members that are going to be working on 1.11 for PodGo, and So it's a lot of, hey guys, what are we going to work on this week?
So those pieces of software are completely different from each other, besides using the HX engine.
There is some shared code base, like the modeled, the actual modeling in the DSP is shared. And it may not be necessarily in the future, but it is right now. But it's based on a similar architecture to Helix, so we didn't have to recode anything from scratch. Certainly not.
And so, if somebody was trying to make a choice between, say, the HX Stomp and the PodGo, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Well, I'd have to qualify them first. I mean, if they're a user who's just starting out, who's never used modelers before, who isn't familiar with Helix and HX products, and maybe they've been used to amps and pedal boards and that sort of thing, PodGo is a really great starter unit. If they happen to be, if they're already in deep into Kemper and Fractal and Helix land, then some of the restrictions that are imposed on PodGo, which specifically make it easy to use, might be too restricting. So it really depends on what they're looking to accomplish. I have to stress that although things are very similar between the two now, they may not be in the future. So, for example, we've started to put all of the polyphonic pitch stuff in. They should actually be working in a Helix, at least for us internally, very soon. And thus far, the polywam is taking up 50% of an HX Stomp DSP because it sounds really good.
That's awesome.
That gets its own power cord.
So the thing is, it's not going to fit in PodGo.
Right.
So it's not going to fit. Just like the legendary drive from 2.9 didn't fit in 1.1 for PodGo 2. So going forward, there are all sorts of things that we reserve the right to do in Helix and HX land, and PodGo may not get that sort of love. And so if you're going in and you're expecting, hey, all of these crazy new Helix features are going to magically get into PodGo, PodGo is always going to be a meat and potatoes, easy to use type of product by design. Because we want it to fit and fill a particular niche, and we don't need to add crazy parallel routings and that sort of thing to it. It is what it is, and we're going to continue to improve it as well, and we're going to, hopefully get as many new models as we can into it. But there are higher limitations in PodGo than there would be in something like HX Stomp.
So this is what Eric said. Eric Castaneda. It's great that the pod name has been resurrected again. So, I think that was a good call. I mean, I have said, man, I would have loved if it was called HX Go, but I do understand now, especially with that last explanation, that it may not in the future have just because of some of the limits of it. And the fact that you've made the numbers different and the software different, I think this is really, really good. So it looks like I got a super chat from Jason Sedides. It says, "Thanks for all the hard work in the group, guys." Hey, thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
Thanks,
Hey, Jason.
And let's see. This is another question. Can you use the PodGo to detune with a pitch shifter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not a polyphonic algorithm, so it's going to sound as good as the current pitch algorithms in Helix.
Nice. We have
and one thing, if you're not aware, always run your pitch shift as the first block.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Unless you want to use a compressor before it to get all of the levels between the notes consistent, that might help, but generally you never want to run your pitch after any distorted or gainy type blocks ever. So unless you really want it to freak out and act weird.
Well, I mean, and
doesn't matter what the algorithm is, that's true across the board.
And you may be going for that. That may be something you'd go for.
That's something I would go for, yeah.
Yeah. Shoegaze. Bunch of shoegaze. But
the catch-all of the catch-all genre of wild effect order.
Yeah.
Shoegaze.
Yeah.
It's shoegaze.
Shoegaze. Hey, you know.
Distortion after everything and before everything.
Well, it's kind of like
Reverb first, ask questions later.
well, it's kind of like putting a delay before the distortion or before a distorted amp gives you that 70s, you know, running before an amp like they did to get that kind of a distorted delay sound. There's some songs out there that it sounds really good. Most of the time, I like my pristine delays at the end, but.
Yeah, I'm an 80s guy, so delay is my thing.
Delay is good. Oh, that could be bad. Let's see. All right. So we've got 24 here. I guess I can tell everybody the giveaway. So we've got, and you know what? I have made a mistake before. So let me refer to
Yeah,
to it exactly.
yeah, Chad, read it.
I'm going to read this one and make sure it's exactly what it's supposed to be. I don't want to do that again. That's unforgivable a second time. It was almost unforgivable the first time. Let me find it. Let's see. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, hey, JB, I noticed that you're doing a lot of streaming from home. I love your coffee with JB every day, right? Is it every day?
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay. I just chat
like every day though.
Yeah, you do it a lot, but so
I do it a lot.
What kind of stuff are you using to live stream? I mean, that's got to be the top question that's been going around.
I've been trying everything. I've tried a different thing. I've just anything in my house that will pass audio to a computer. I've tried.
What do you like the best?
I just
today.
It depends. It depends on how I want to use Helix. Because if Helix is the main source of the sound, then sometimes you just want to separate it from being an audio interface. Sometimes you just want it to be on its own, making sounds, or you want it to be going into an amp. That's the other way I use Helix, is that I run it into an amp, and then I have a UA aux coming out, and so that doesn't work for using it as an interface. So there's a few different tricks I've used, but Helix is the quietest one I have, believe it or not. It's been the quietest interface and around, but the most utilitarian one has been the Zoom H6, believe it or not.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's been the go-to, like, never fails kind of thing. And I just put Helix right in there, and I just leave it on the Fullerton model the whole time.
Okay, so we get to give away.
Oh yeah.
A Stomp and 3 native licenses for
nice.
6 native. So I'm
not allowed to win though. So
yeah, exactly. Let's see. Okay. So let me get my random number generator. There's 25 people on. Okay, so there's 25 people on. Let's do 1 to 150. Okay. 1 to 150. And what we're going to do is...
You want me to type the start and stop?
Yeah, type the start and stop. Okay. And we're going to go...
you guys have done this before.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we're going to go between 1 and 150, and we're going to give away 3 licenses at once, so the closest 3 above or below. And we are going to start with this music. And...
Whoa.
Go. And we've got our little countdown music going. Dum, dum.
Sure.
Okay, guys, in the comments, do your one between. No, only do one vote.
One guess.
Yeah.
One
vote.
guess.
One vote.
If you spam the votes, you're out.
Sounds fair.
The stakes are kind of high, I'd say.
They are. I wouldn't mind winning a stomp. That's a very nice prize.
This is for the 3 Helix native licenses right now.
The first one's for the native license.
Yeah.
To the stomp.
Yeah, this is the three native licenses.
So we're going to give 3 away from the numbers that are chosen now.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the time just went off. Hit stop. And we do this.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So the number. Hang on. And the number is 120.
It looks to me like that is Sounds of Worship.
What were they?
They're 125.
125. Okay, so we got 3. There's 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. And
Just-
then next one would be 127. David
Yeah.
Bowman.
Yeah.
And then looks like 97. 97, which is
Justin.
Fleur.
Okay, so this is what you got to do, guys. Send me an email, and my email is, and I will say it slow and steady. It's long, but you should get it. It's Boston, Boston, Enterprise, ENTERPRISE @gmail.com. Need to send me your username. You need to send me for your line 6. You need to send me your social. No, just kidding. Send me your
The username at
line 6.
YouTube.
No, line
And
6.
the
Line 6.
email associated with that username.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say.
5 different emails. You want to send the email that's associated with your Line 6 account.
Yes, exactly. Send it with the associated one, your email, and your name and address and your phone number. We'll just make sure we have all the details we need. So, who was the winners again?
Okay, let's write these down. It is
Are you writing them down?
sure. Give me a second then. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here.
Yeah, but because this came up today, so I didn't have time to do my normal. I mean, I do.
I've never heard that expression "flying by the seat of our pants" used as much as I have in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, no kidding. So it looks like we got David Bowman. We've got Sounds of Worship. Well, I almost made a terrible slip on that one. And, that's the same person twice. David Bowman twice. That probably is not going to work. And then it was Justin Fleur. Hope I said it. And by the way, I am terrible at pronouncing names. So if I mess your name up, it's just going to happen. I mean, how about this? Justin. I got Justin.
And it doesn't change whether you won or not.
No.
Yeah, and the ones we are announcing right now are the winners, regardless of whether you find out we made a mistake. These are the winners.
Yeah, final.
Because we've had that happen before, where there was so many and we declared a winner, and then they weren't a winner, and then I ended up feeling bad and having to give extra stuff, and so there you are. All right, so the stomp we'll give near the end of the show. So
Okay.
So can I share something, you guys?
Absolutely.
It really hit me after the NAMM show. It's an interesting thing for all you guys out there that haven't been to the NAMM show. One of the lasting impressions that I think everybody walked away from it with was when you actually get a little piece of this community together in a room. It really shows what kind of an atmosphere we have here. Like it was interesting for me. It was good to see people's faces in person for the first time. That was fun. But it was also just a sense of the things that happen online, they are actually real. Like they're real human beings. You know what I mean? It actually has an impact. It actually is a community. And it changes the way we think about communities because it's on the internet. I mean, we just sort of brush past each other in the hallway every once in a while. That's what it's like on the internet. But when I was in that room, I remember looking around and just going, you know, this is a pretty legit scene here. This is at this point getting embedded into the DNA of the Helix itself. You know, like it's actually starting to. It's a big part. Like there's a few things to me that kind of set this ecosystem apart. In general, the Helix itself, in terms of just how approachable it is as a piece of gear and how you go about getting what you want out of it, sets it apart and always has from the very beginning. But now I'm seeing also, I just wanted to throw that out there, that the community around it is part of it now. Like they're inseparable. It's spoiled me rotten for other things. So I'll give you an example. I was looking for a good, Chad and I were talking the other day about this. I was looking for a really good software for streaming. And I realized as I was searching around and trying different softwares for streaming, I was judging it 50% by the product and 50% by the way the company and the users were handling the product and dealing with each other. And I ended up choosing the one that I felt the most solid about, not just as a, you understand what I mean? Not just as a thing, but also as a larger entity, as a group of people. When I started to catch that atmosphere that we're familiar with here on the Helix page, that scored major points for that piece of software. It made me feel better about it. As crazy as that may sound, you know, and I still think I picked the best product, but it was a big part of it. And I told Chad that because we're spoiled. So, you know, I was like, I said, you know, there's a lot of these things around. Everybody's promoting this stuff, but there's only one or two that I found that where the community reminds me a little bit of the Helix community.
It's funny that you say that, JB.
This is what Frank says. Hang on.
Oh,
This is what Frank says.
I'm sorry.
Frank says, love meeting you guys and gals. Can't wait for NAMM 2021.
Oh, yeah, Frank. Heck yeah. But it's funny that you say that, JB, because I've been in, you know, I love modeling. So I'm in like every modeling group known to man, right? Helix is my first love, obviously, but I've been in everyone. So when I suggest to the other groups that what they're buying with the Helix is the Helix and the user community, sometimes I don't get quite the reception that you would think until after some of those people have come to the Helix group. And then they, from, you know, in chats, they go, I finally understand what you mean. Everybody, you know, if I have a question, I can just ask the question. It's answered almost immediately. And nobody makes me feel like I don't have enough knowledge, right? That was one of our goals. Chad and I, when we started this off, we were so terrible at modeling. I don't know if I can speak for Chad, but I was terrible at modeling. I'd been playing keyboard and I've been playing through, you know, just basically through a PA the whole time. So I didn't know very much about amps or anything like that. And I got pandered a lot of the times. But when we made this group, it all changed. And it was just by being nice to each other. Really, that was the main thing that we set out for. We wanted a group where everybody was nice to each other, and it's grown into this. And I am so proud that it has. And I cannot wait for NAMM 2021 to see even more of the members.
I think we should stream that.
We
should walk through the crowd. Well, maybe not the talks on stage, because then they won't tell us anything good. But you know, we should actually sneak around with cameras and stuff and just like hang out with the people and just stream it out, because all the people that don't get to be there, I just feel like they need to kind of at least virtually visit it.
I feel that way too.
Vibe. By the way, Eric, I really believe that was the first time that any of us have smacked our wife's bum live on the Helix Group.
It wasn't the first, and it won't be the last.
I wanted to just point that out, because that, you know, I don't even know if Johnny Lee has. It was
a love tap. It was a love tap.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think, you know, to beat out Johnny and some of these guys on that is significant.
It is, because Johnny's a crazy animal.
he's wild, but I mean, I don't know if he ever went there right in front of the people. I'm jealous. I'm gonna next time I go on, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to get my wife to buzz by and drop a dog in my lap and tap her on her way out. Power cord.
So, when we started the group, I remember the Helix the Helix was announced, and so we started the group, and a really there was a certain page out there on the internet that I found very volatile to hang out in, and I know that Line 6, they spend a lot of time there, but the reason why we started this group, and we have this friendly group, and it's because, let's see, Chris and we met over gear. There was a TC Electronic, a Voice Live 3, and I had one, and he's got it. And I sold him. There you go. They're gonna find it. I sold him my Voice Live, and we just hit it off. And then we all started talking about the Helix.
That was pre-Helix.
It was pre-Helix, but then we started talking about the Helix coming out as something. This is going to be cool. And I thought, we got to have a place. There's got to be a place that's different. And I didn't know what it was going to become. I mean, I had no idea. I just did it because I thought, well, maybe somebody will show up, and four some odd years later, and 28,000. That's kind of an incredible number. 28,000.
I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable. And if you look at the stats for the group, I think it's a phenomenal for NUPO. There you go, Voice Live 3.
I love that thing, by the way.
I love this thing.
The stats for the group are incredible. It's like people wonder, I post something and it just goes away. It disappeared. That's because there's 80 new posts a day. And that doesn't count the incredible amount of posts that are commented on. And when you comment on a post in Facebook, it bumps it back to the top. So we've got just an incredible amount of resources. And yes, with 28,000 people, sometimes people can get a little grumpy, and there's a lot of the read the manual people out there, or let me find this on Google for you, a little bit snarky comments that come up. But yeah, Eric, you like the comment?
He resembles that remark.
Read the manual. Listen, without sounding like that, the manual, if you do give it some time, teaches you everything, and it's not that hard. It really isn't. In fact, I just put out a video yesterday.
We could have like a little fireside with the manual.
I needed to use the manual yesterday to find out with Helix Native how to get to be able to control MIDI through your DAW. And guess what?
Me too.
Guess what? I made a video. Did you see the video, JB?
Not yet, but I was doing the same thing yesterday. I went to the manual for the MIDI, for the DAW MIDI.
Yeah, did you fix it?
I think so. I think I got it all sorted.
Yeah. Well, I got a video for you. If you
Right on.
But I had to go to the manual. So I applaud Line 6 for putting the effort and time into these manuals. But again, we still have this group, and we encourage people, even if you have read the manual, even if you want to say, hey, read the manual. You know how I do it when I come across a problem that the manual can fix, is I'll go to the manual, I will screenshot a little section that they're specifically at, and I'll just put it in there and like, hey, this will help you right here. And it's a polite way of saying read the manual, but why duplicate the work? But
same here. I'll put the manual page and paragraph, right, and let them, and sometimes even a link right back to the manual. That's the best way to do it, I think. It was what was helpful when I was starting out, so it really did help me.
Yeah. So with that being said, when 3.0 comes out, will there be a new manual, Eric?
Yeah, the hope is that we're gonna add everything and retool all of the manuals at 3.0.
Nice.
I mean, we kind of have to. The problem is that there's only so many of us, and my buddy Steve Fazio in Texas. I don't know if he's on right now, but he does a lot of the formatting for the manuals. He and I work on the content for the hardware. He does everything in the software manuals for HX Edit and Helix Native. And if it's software, because it's embedded in the software itself from the help desk, we can just release it in English, and then some of our distributors like YCJ in Japan, they'll translate it themselves into Japanese for their customers, and YME will then translate some of that stuff as well. But for the hardware, there are all sorts of weird. Frank knows way more about this than I do, but there are all sorts of laws that dictate that if you're going to sell into Romania, the EU says you have to have a manual in Romanian.
Oh, wow.
So we have manuals in Romanian and Slovenian and Slovakian and Turkish and Greek and I think 27 different languages. And that's awesome, but the skill set involved in translating technical documents is very different from even being fluent in that language. Like, you not only need to be fluent in English and fluent in that native language, but you have to know exactly what the verbiage is for a synth polyphony or what an oscillator, you know.
Wow, that's got to be difficult.
So if you're in Bulgaria, you need to know the proper Bulgarian term for a tone stack, right? So unless you play guitar, you're not going to know that. So translators deserve every penny they get, but they're very expensive. And to do 28 languages, it's ridiculously expensive. And because Yamaha is our parent, we're under a much stricter set of guidelines than other companies that happen to sell in those countries as well. So we just try to do everything on the up and up, and that just means doing that. So we've decided, hey, we're not going to update the manuals. And if you have the manual for your product and then you read the release notes for every subsequent update, you should still have everything you need.
Right.
I have a question. But I know we talked about the update of the update, but we didn't actually talk about the update.
The 2.9.
Yeah. Because I think that there's some really exciting stuff in there that a lot of people aren't. They're just starting to discover, you know?
So I completely missed the dynamic split. I completely missed it.
Right. I mean, these are kind of potentially really interesting things. So I wanted to get your take on that, Eric, and ask you about, what some of the applications that are exciting to you about this update. Your head's probably in 3.0 already, but
yeah.
But for those of us that are out here in the trenches with 2.9, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, we had been working on this crazy new feature for this product line that never actually materialized, but we wanted the ability to go in and assign anything to anything, and then have separate measures on press versus release. But that was a very top level functionality, and we thought, well, hey, we could do this in Helix, but it's going to automatically make Helix way more complicated than it needs to be. And then it made perfect sense to hide it in the command center, because only power users are going to go to the command center anyway. So it's not going to freak anybody out unless they purposely go looking. So that's how all of the HX commands kind of came into being. So you can now assign any looper function or any preset or any snapshot function to any stomp foot switch on both press and or release, or press hold. So it allows you to sort of customize stomp view exactly how you want. So you could have 3 snapshot switches. You could have, hey, I always go from this preset to this preset. I'm going to hit this one switch, and I don't even have to put my presets in order. It's going to instantly jump me to a specific preset that I want. If you guys remember, several months ago, where we were talking about crazy power user stuff, where if you turn off MIDI through, you could route a MIDI output cable back to the in, so you could send MIDI messages from a foot switch to tell Helix to do certain things. all we really did was remove the necessity of doing that, and we just tied all that stuff together internally.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So we took a power user feature that people were already taking advantage of, but it was kind of buggy because it was never designed to do that.
Mhm.
And we just, all right, let's just make that the functionality, and so people don't need to do that weird USB trick.
Mhm.
The other big thing that hasn't gotten a lot of traction from 2.9 are the subcategory shortcuts. And if you're not using it, it's really cool. So if you have HX Stomp and you want to go in and add a block, and you're like, all right, well, I got to press the lower knob, I got to choose the category, I got to choose the stereo or mono, I got to scroll down here. Oh, I missed the wrong one. Let me page back to the category and all that sort of stuff. That's gone now. So all you have to do is press and turn the lower knob, and it instantly starts scrolling through all your subcategories. And then when you find the subcategory you want, like, oh, mod stereo, done, let go, and now turn it like normal, and now they're all your stereo mods. So selecting models is much, much faster. On HX Effects, it's the big knob, so you push and turn the big knob, it'll scroll through all your subcategories. And then on Helix, if you use the page buttons, if you hold down page left and start pressing page right, it'll just start skipping through all your subcategories. So
I did not know that. Somehow I skipped over that in class.
Yeah. That's how I felt about the dynamic split too. I'm like, how did I miss that?
Mm-hmm.
That
I've been
dynamic,
asking for it, right? So
the dynamic split. I did a video on it, and one thing I noticed is that I can hear some effects from the top split on the bottom split when it's going. Is that intended?
It's just about setting the threshold, the attack and release release.
for the guitar that he's using too, and his play style, right?
Yep.
No, but what I'm saying is when it has moved, I can still hear some of the effects from the top line.
It sounds like a cutoff thing.
Yeah, it should be a threshold thing.
So
Take a closer look.
what are some really workhorse-y sort of ways to use that feature?
So
For the average player, that goes, I don't need that, that's too fancy. What are some things that might
the average
make,
player,
actually, maybe I might use that.
yeah, for the average player, I mean, if you happen to have, so imagine you're just not getting enough dynamics out. Say you really, really love the sound of one model, but the actual amp it's modeled after isn't very dynamic. What you could do is you could say you still get to use that model, but then on path B, you can use a completely different model that has a completely different tone. And as you play harder, it starts morphing into the other amp. So the dynamics of your tone are now through the roof, because you can in real time, not even with having to use an expression pedal or a foot switch or anything, your actual playing style and how hard you play will actually dictate which amp or which tone you're going through.
Okay, that's cool. What about adding an effect that only comes in if you play at a certain dynamic?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I can't remember the
You want it
video.
dry when you're quiet and wet when it's loud, or something like that.
Yep. Or what I've seen is the opposite. You might have like a shimmer reverb on path A. So when you're playing clean chords, you have this really kind of big, open, sort of airy thing, and then when you dig in, it suddenly dries that up, because we've all dealt with the, hey, I really love the way this delay and this reverb sounds, the way it blooms, but then when you start playing, it just gets overwhelming and loud and insane. Right. And now that thing, it just kind of shuts it down as you play loud, and then when you start playing softer, it blooms back in.
I like that.
So somebody's asking about, can we talk about the involvement with Rev? I don't know what that question totally means.
With Rev.
Rev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Revs actually told the story on their page this week. There's nothing really fancy or clever about it. It was, we're always constantly figuring out what amp we want to do. We're like, well, we want to do a Rev Generator 120. And so we called up Rev and said, hey, we want to order an amp. And I think it was Kyle at Rev saw the invoice, said, what's line 6? Why do they want to buy an amp? And he put 2 and 2 together and called us up, and we're like, yeah, we want to model your amp because it's awesome. It's like, cool. And
Nice.
and they're like, what's the bare minimum we could do? And we're like, well, if you guys are willing to sign something, we'll, that you're not going to get mad that we use the real name. We'll totally use the real name as the model name. And they're like, absolutely. Awesome. So, and they're not a tiny company by any stretch of the imagination, but we'd like to think that it's giving them a bit more exposure and a bit more love. And we're a huge fan of the amp, and
I think it's cool.
I want
and super nice guys. We've seen the NAMM show. Yeah, they're awesome, and we've been talking about some other stuff in the future. But there's so many things going on. It's tough to track.
Here's another thing that I missed at class. I didn't realize till I was this many years old when I realized that that's the only amp in the Helix that uses its actual name. Right?
Well, the Ampegs do now too, because
you own them. Yes. I'm sorry, you don't own them. Yamaha Guitar Group, right?
The 65 amps. I can't wait till those get in there.
Hey, I'm just gonna warn you. I gotta pop off in about 7 or 8 minutes. But
okay, yeah. Let's do the giveaway for the. Let's do last giveaway. Thank you for being on, Eric. Let's see. Again, between 1 and 150, same rules, guys. Same rules. This is for the Helix HX Stomp and Boston Enterprise, BOSTONENTERPRISE @gmail.com. You need to send me your name, address, telephone number, line 6 information. No, just kidding. And
credit card.
And so we're gonna do this by. We're gonna start the music. We're gonna play some time music, and then we're going to do a. Don't start now. People are already starting. Don't start now. We haven't. These are not counting. We haven't said start.
Yeah, you'll see it. I'll post up. Start. Don't put us numbers yet.
Yeah, we have all these numbers right here. They don't count. So we're gonna go ahead and go 1 through 121. He's going now. I mean, I'm gonna stop for a minute.
Okay. I got the start ready.
I'm pulling the car over, guys.
Out of the bag.
The car's pulled over.
I bet you none of these people read the manual either. Or the release note.
Okay, I think they're finally catching up to the lag, and they're all hearing it.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so you guys have to wait till we say start, and you'll hear music playing while you're doing it between 1 and 150, and we're gonna go now. Okay, when this little music behind the scene goes, it's over. It's over. Okay, start now. There we go. You can go now. Don't make me pull this car over again. Don't make Jeremy Vale. Don't make me come back there.
Jeremy.
So.
Oh yeah. By the way, Aaron popped in. Aaron Short. I just hi to him too.
Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Dude.
My buddy Forrest. We actually have a lot of people from my hometown on this feed right now too.
Chris.
Oh,
what is your
the music? Stop.
There we go. Got it.
Okay. All right.
All right. So what's the number?
The number is 42.
42.
42. We have a 47.
We have two 43s.
We have a 43. We have two 43s. Well.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Match.
Is that it? The two 43s?
And no 41s. No, that's it.
Okay. Okay. So we have two 43s. Who are they?
They are Sean Page and Gateway Students.
Okay. Okay. So what we're gonna do is between those two.
Yeah.
Between those two, we're gonna have another draw. Okay, only 2 people now. Those 2. So here we go. Go.
Just those two.
Just those two. That should be enough time. Come on, guys. Well, we got to do it again because there's a 30-second lag. And wait, one more. Come on. New comments.
Oh, consolation prize is another native, Frank just said, too.
Oh, cool.
Tiebreaker. Oh, wait. Consolation prize is another native. Okay.
Oh, hey, we're going to have to do it again. We didn't actually tell them between what numbers.
1 and 150. Those have always been 1 and. Let's do it again.
Okay, they did do it. They did do it.
Okay.
We're good. So we've got, okay, give me the number and I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, got two. So 90. So we got two people, Sean Page and Gateway students, right? 92 and 1 and 73. And so we got 122. So Gateway students is the winner.
Congratulations.
And Sean Page, you need to send us your email address and Line 6 account associated with that email address to bostenenterprise@gmail.com. BOSTONENTERPRISE Okay, Eric, thank you so much for being here, and I hope your dog feels better, and I hope everything gets better.
Yeah, he's halfway through kennel rest. We'll see.
And thank you guys so much for being here. And I'm going to stay on for 1 second. I'm going to do the exit. Thank you everybody who showed up. Exit.
And before you go, thank you guys all for being a member. Everybody on the screen's a member. Everybody who's on the feed, and everybody who watches this later in the group. Thank you all so much for being part of the family.
So all four of you stay on real quick. I'm going to do the exit. And